In order to open your eyes, you have to close them. Does that make sense to you? Your eyes can be fooled, but when you close your eyes, you can't be fooled. Research is about seeking knowledge, about forming relationships with the ones who know, and the ethics that guide that research can only be understood in a spiritual context. Perspectives on the Housing First program with Indigenous Participants is a research project conducted by Homeward Trust Edmonton and the Blue Quills First Nations College. Our storytellers represent 25 participants of Homeward Trust's Housing First support program. What you will hear is taken from the participants' own words.
I came to Edmonton from up north because there was inadequate housing on the reserve, and I ended up homeless after escaping an abusive relationship. I was in shelters and on the streets, and then I had my daughter.
I was homeless for the last 12 years. It was my life, my choice. I didn't want responsibility. There are guys who are. They would rather live on the street, camp down at the hostel or something like that than be burdened with rent and doing the stuff at the actual place you had to go live. To them, that was freedom. But I found out that it's extremely difficult because there was really no freedom, because you had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and get out. And when you have to leave and it's fall or winter and it's cold out, you can't take people to the shelter. You can't sleep in, you can't party. So the freedom that I thought I had, I didn't have at all.
In the course of addictions, I lost everything. All my belongings, everything I owned. I went to treatment, but I was homeless. So when I got out of the program, I went to a shelter and I tried to find work and a place to live. But I didn't have any money, so I couldn't manage it. Within 2 months, I was back using drugs. I did my time down there, on the street. Some people say it's like a war zone down there, that's what you're living through. Every day is just hopelessness.
I did probably 5 years on the street, on and off. I was using all that stuff. I slept on friends' couches, stayed on the street a few nights. I used to have to watch my back. Jails, institutions, or death. Those are the choices you're faced with when you don't have a roof over your head. I'm surprised I got out of there mostly all right, because I have friends who didn't. There's a lot of drugs, a lot of people hurting each other. a lot of alcohol. It just comes from everything. From living on the street, you just survive it and move past it. I was addicted to crack. I lost everything. Had no place to live. I wanted to change. I wanted a better life. I wanted to get away from everything. On the one hand, you want to get out of it. On the other, you lose all your self-esteem or whatever. So you just sit.
Society looks at a Native person as either living on or off reserve, that you get paid oil royalties every month. You don't have to work because you got enough money. You don't have to pay taxes, you get all these discounts. You get housing and cigarettes or whatever. But there is so much corruption on the reserve. It's almost like living under gangsters. When you go to chief and council and ask them, why is this happening? Or point out that things aren't fair, they just laugh at you and tell you to shut up. It's a struggle living on the reserve. There's third world living conditions in a lot of them. My grandparents were alcoholics, and their kids were taken away from them and put into residential schools. And I think up until like 10 years ago, they literally just thought, that's just what happens. That's just what happened, and that's the way life is. Because up north, they're so cut off that they don't realize that taking away someone's children is not okay. If I don't see my counselor in a while, it's not good. Because I have a lot to talk about. We don't talk about everything in one session. That would be impossible. So I have to go back and see her more. She's brought up a lot of things that, from my childhood, that have happened. The abuse that I don't want to talk about. She's bringing it out.
I don't speak for anybody else, but maybe some have had the same experience as me. Maybe they're white, or they're Native, or they're whatever. But there's a lot I heard for anybody that's in addictions, and with Native people, especially. I find that I need extra help, and belief in me, like my workers showed me especially.
When I got out of prison, it was like I felt good. I was straight. But when all your family is homeless, you have nothing to come back to. So you just go back to what you know.
When you're born into a life of poverty and addiction, those are the places you gravitate towards. My parents couldn't take care of us, and so we were put into care, which kind of saved us, but in the long run, I think social services should have stepped up a little bit more back then when it came to children's well-being, like doing background checks, checking up on the families, see how they're doing, see how kids are living, because cycles repeat themselves.
I didn't want that life anymore. I knew I had to break the cycle some way or another. It's my desire. It's my desire to want to change my life for the better. This program gave me a way to step away from it all, to take me away from downtown and not have to see those people who don't want to make the change, who are happy pissing their lives away. I think I was wrong about some of those people, that they were looking out for me all those years. People down there are just trying to survive. They're only looking out for themselves.
Well, I think what I know now that I didn't before is that we can't do anything big all by ourselves, no matter how smart we think we are. We've got to give it all to the Creator and let Mother Earth show you. People have got to help each other.
I get support from my support worker. She's not judgmental. She sits and listens, and she helps. She doesn't decide for me. She always comes and asks. I've taken the pride aspect out of the equation because it's not about, to me, it's not a lack of pride. It's accepting the situation for what it is. I've created where I am in my life by choices I made earlier in my life. So now it's time to move forward.
I don't know, one day I just took a look at myself and I thought, I don't like this, you know? I don't want to go back to the reserve, but I don't want to go back to the way I was before I got messed up, you know? And even though things did go bad for me and my son, doesn't mean they have to keep going bad. You know, I can do things different. Well, I know how to do things different, I just got to do them. You know, it's not like, well, I mean, I may only have a grade 9 education, but I know a lot, you know? I got lots of knowledge in different things. So.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the streets, I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have today. So I'm pretty thankful, actually. But like, I don't have material things. I don't have money in the bank. I don't have a car. I don't have anything. But I can spend all this energy and time thinking about what I don't have instead of being grateful for what I do have. So that's what I do.
I'm trying to change my attitude and stuff too. I never used to, but I pray now. And it's like if I wake up feeling angry in the morning, I'll just say a prayer and I'll go with that. And it keeps me at peace. Even when I was on the streets, I was starting to listen to the Native people and the elders. But mostly I'd ignore what they were saying and just keep drinking. But it finally came home a couple of years ago. What the elders were telling me, it really came home a couple of years ago. It took a while longer for me to actually accept it, to believe what they were saying. Because when you're on the streets, you're worried about surviving, right?
Well, I'm learning. I'm learning how to protect me from myself and my self-destructive lifestyle. I'm not a traditionalist. I don't believe in traditions, but I won't judge anybody who is. I've got a few friends who don't like it that I have Christian views. They accuse me of being a white man just because I have Christian beliefs, Christian views. I want to join mainstream. I don't want to be labeled as special needs just because I'm an Aboriginal person. I fully believe I can join society without having to worry about my blood.
Spiritualism brings peace. It brings unity to the ones that are involved with it. That's part of the culture that's very important. And because of that peace, because of the unity, it draws people together. You go to a round dance, the people are really there to enjoy it. There's just a sense of family. It's important in any culture, but especially with Aboriginal people, because there's so many people looking down on us. We have to stick together. It's unfortunate, but mostly nobody else will help us if we don't help ourselves. We have to do it together. We can't do it by ourselves.
As an Aboriginal or First Nations, I've been slapped and kicked around many times. So that's why I've turned my back on my culture. But now, it's a little different for me. I don't feel so empty. I used to feel lost and empty because I wasn't sure if I'd make it to the mustard seed or Hope Mission in time for supper. You don't know where you're going to stay. It's going to be cold at night because you don't know the temperature. Or if someone's going to kick you out of where you're going to sleep. Or if people are just going to get mad at you for sleeping under the stairs or in the laundry room. When I have my own place, I feel more stability. You feel like no one's going to knock on your door and say, hey, get out of here, can't sleep here. You don't have to wander the streets. You always have a home to come back to, because when I was homeless, I always had to go to a different place, like wander the streets. And that was lonely, it was hard, and I didn't like it because you always had this feeling of, how did I get here? How do I get out of here? I'm whole now, so no worries. Well, there still are worries, but just it's not as much.
Home means hope and happiness. Well, and security. Yeah. Home can be anything from a tent to a log cabin in the woods to a mansion. You know? Home is anywhere where your family is, and for me, that's just me and my son. You know? Yeah. The housing. I never could have imagined that this is what they were talking about. You know, when Housing First said that they'd help me get an apartment and furniture, and it came from the furniture bank, I didn't have to pay anything. And it's nice stuff, you know? I mean, it's just been incredible, you know? It's only a 2-bedroom and stuff, but that's all I need, right? It's nice, it's not a crack shack or a dive. So, Housing First, they treat people equally, you know? It doesn't matter if you just come off the street, they'll help you. Their attitude doesn't change, they don't judge. Because a lot of people out there, they judge right away, yeah.
The thing about Housing First that's so amazing, it's not about addiction. It has nothing to do with addiction. It has to do with people who are homeless, are caught up in a system of doing this and doing that. Being able to grow roots somewhere to stabilize yourself so you can break the pattern. You can't do that without help. It's impossible to do that without help.
The first place they lined up for me was downtown, but there were people doing drugs across the hallway, so I didn't do very good. Relapsed after 4 months. I called my worker and I told him, I said, I messed up, but this is the environment I'm in. This is my situation. Can you help me? And he did. He didn't judge me or anything. He moved me to the West End, and I got a chance to put my best foot forward. I feel really safe The landlord lives in the building. I used to sleep with a gun all the time. But I don't keep weapons in the house no more. I feel really safe.
Well, I had no motivation. No motivation to find my own place. I always dreamed I'd have my own place so I could attend services and so I could participate in volunteer programs to help people help themselves. And now that I've got a place, things are starting to happen.
I thought it was like a holiday. After living downtown, sirens weren't there, yelling and screaming, everything was... We couldn't sleep at night because it was too quiet. We were so used to yelling and screaming and sirens every 15 minutes. Now we don't have the traffic. I mean, we live on a main road, but we live on the inside, and so we don't really hear the traffic. My daughter, she says, "Mom, this is weird just staying in one place for so long. Because we were so used to moving around." I mean, it took us 3 or 4 days just to get used to hearing the birds.
Yeah, I was totally blown away by the type of building I was able to get into. I would have never qualified to get into this building. I didn't have enough money, I didn't have the references, I had no credit rating. So I think the best part of the program is that it allows you enough time to get stabilized in one place as opposed to you live here for a month and you can't pay the rent and you have to move out and go on like that. I think that perpetuates homelessness because after a while, people just give up. They're tired of moving and there's no stability. So I think this program offers a lot of stability and allows people to get comfortable where they're at and also, you know, have a place to go while you look for employment and other resources.
I found my connection to the Creator and my higher power and Mother Earth and just the whole Native side of my heritage that I wasn't aware of before.
At first, I was just laying in bed, sleeping in, eating too much.